Mrs. De La Cruz for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Lucas, for holding this hearing today, and thank you to our witnesses once again for being here. As our task force meets today and discusses a relationship between the Federal Reserve and the Treasury, I want to start by highlighting the impact of these policies on the average household. My question is for Mr. Honkin. It is, we have seen studies that show even a permanent primary deficit increase of 1% of GDP leads to nearly a 20 basis point increase in core personal consumption expenditure prices 5 years out that equal about $330 of disposable income per household. Knowing this, sir, how would you describe where we are today in terms of government spending's impact on inflation?
Well, I think from where we are today, we're going to incur $2 trillion of new debt, and that has to be financed, and that puts strain on the markets and does put upward pressure on interest rates depending on what the Fed does to intervene, which then risk inflation down the road. So I think it's mostly going to be harmful in terms of what it does to inflation. And I think that's where that's where the Congress and the Fed and the Treasury should be concerned. And I think ignoring it or saying that we can just we'll divide our activities without a clear message that we're going to control our deficits, our domestic fiscal deficits, I think is not beneficial in the long run for the American consumer. And this is someone said, for those who are sitting behind me. So it's very important we get this under control.
And you know what, there is a group of young men that walked in behind you. I'm guesstimating about 19 to 21, 22 years old, and eager to learn about the government, probably excited to be here on Capitol Hill. So welcome, young men. Thank you for being courageous to come to a hearing today. My son is about their age. What does that mean to those young men sitting behind you right now? What does their future look like if we don't get this under control?
Well, I think we will have a higher inflationary issue. And perhaps just one example of that is I hear over and over again how hard it is for young individuals to buy their first home because the price of housing has doubled over the last decade and a half or so. And so if we continue with $2 trillion plus a year, and if you look at the CBO's projection, they're going to be every bit that much, then I think we need to be very mindful. And there's only two choices in my mind. The Congress gets the debt under control. The Fed otherwise says, no, we won't monetize the excess amount of debt more than what the real economy can grow at. And if you do that, then you're going to really shoot interest rates up and put us into, I think, a slow growth period ahead. And that's really the difficult choices that lie ahead, but they need to be addressed.
Thank you. Dr. Lacker, following up on the same topic, you've recommended some principles for a new accord, especially in an era of large deficit spending and balance sheets. If the Federal Reserve and the Treasury were encouraged to create a new accord with your principles, how does that impact the balance sheet, the deficit, and ultimately the taxpayers?
Excuse me. Thank you. So I think a Fed more narrowly focused on monetary policy, the way I've described it, would leave the Treasury and Congress a clean playing field to face markets, get feedback on the course they've set on fiscal policy without the market perceptions of market participants being clouded by the possibility of the Fed inflating away the debt. If the fiscal path is unsustainable or is is getting too large for the economy to handle, real interest rates will have to rise. The government will have to pay up. And that
I
will
reclaim
affect
my time.
consumers all.
Thank you so much. I yield back.
Gentlelady's time has expired. The chair now turns to the gentleman from Wisconsin.